জুলাই আগস্ট হত্যাকাণ্ডের প্রতিবেদন প্রকাশ করছে জাতিসংঘের মানবাধিকার কমিশন। আমরা এখন সরাসরি যুক্ত হচ্ছি জেনেভায়।
And officials who were working hard to build on the momentum to implement a new vision for Bangladesh, one with human rights and social justice at its core. The recommendations in this report are made in the spirit of contributing to the implementation of such a vision. And my office is available to continue and further expand our cooperation with Bangladesh, including through a strengthened presence in the country. In recent decades, Bangladesh's promise has too often been marred by bitter feuding and patronage and identity politics. Today, this transition offers a chance to step back from cycles of revenge and move towards a new approach that brings the nation together in a spirit of trust building and healing. Advancing accountability and human rights will be fundamental to achieving that transformation and change. Thank you.
Thank you, High Commissioner. We will now take questions. I'd like to invite the Bangladeshi journalists who are online. If you raise your hands, then we can take questions from you. I don't see any raised at this stage well, actually we do. We've got one hand. I'd rather we take 3 questions at a time. Maybe we might. Actually, we'll take the first question online from Jamuna TV. If you could please identify yourself. Then we now actually have a second question from Mehdi Hassan. So if we do those first 2 questions, please.
Excellency, thank you. My name is Mahfouz Mishu. I work for Jamuna TV. It's a 24/7 news channel based in Dhaka. My question is to High Commissioner. My question is about the legal process. You know
Zenexে শিফট করো, লাইফকে লিফট করো।
Fight the problems and ex-Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her then Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal as one of the planner, and they were directed to the law enforcing agency to killing these 1,400 people. So both of them are out of country. So will you be able to help Bangladesh government to bring back them in Bangladesh and face them the judicial process?
Thank you. And the next question from Mahedi.
Hello, this is Mehdi Hassan Maruf. I am with the Netro News. According to the UN fact-finding report, Naidi Islam, now an advisor in the interim government, he was abducted and taken to DGFI, the military intelligence, their Ainagar detention center on the 19th July last year. Would you please elaborate on the details of this abduction? Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll take one more online from the Bangladeshi media. Israt from DBC News. Israt from DBC News. Okay, maybe we're having I think he's online. Israt? Okay, we might move on to the next one. I think he might be having some comms problems. So this one is from Kamaruzam.
Yes.
Kamaruzam,
do you hear me?
If you could
Yes.
identify the news organisation you work for, please.
Yes, I'm Kamruzzaman. I'm working for TRT World, Bangladesh correspondent, Turkish television channel. Actually, you know that Sheikh Hasina, along with other top cabinet members, most of them are now in India. And Bangladesh is conducting the judicial process against the human rights violation and genocide charges especially during the July student movement. But India, Sheikh Hasina was the number one ally of India according to media statement and assessment. And now India is very rigid not to return Sheikh Hasina or other high officials. So do you think that in this situation, without the cooperation of India, the fair judicial process can be conducted by Bangladesh?
Thank you. Over to you, High Commissioner.
Well, thank you very much. I think when it comes to the first question, it is important, and that is really goes to the heart of what the report is talking about. It is about accountability. When serious, grave violations of international human rights law, of abuses of this kind are being committed, as this report documents, it is crucial that indeed accountability is served. It's also a response to the survivors and the victims and the people that my office was able to interview on the ground. We have a domestic system, and that domestic system is in need of reform. And that's what is happening as we speak. And I had a chance when I was in Bangladesh to discuss this both with the interim government but also with the different heads of the reform process that were being undertaken. And indeed, we need to ensure that there is fair trial standards, there's due process guarantees. And this reform is ongoing and is one that we need to support as much as we can from the international community side as well. There is also the issue of making sure that when people, for example, who have committed serious crimes are outside the country, a universal jurisdiction can work. In those countries where universal jurisdiction for grave violations of international human rights law is possible, then that can also be a part of the accountability process. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the possibility of a referral by Bangladesh to the International Criminal Court, because Bangladesh is a state party to the Rome Statute. Now, this is one thing. The other thing is truth-telling. My report directly contributes to that because it establishes the fact it's done by an independent, we don't have any stakes in the matter. What my team has done on the ground is precisely to establish the facts, to look at what happened, to interview, to look at an enormous amount of material, and to bring forward these facts and the application of the law. And that is in and of the application of the law. And that is in and of itself important because it is part of the truth-telling process. But beyond that, we also need memorialization. We need a deep healing for those who are directly affected, but for the country as a whole. And I just hope that the current reform process of the government, of the interim government, is an important contribution to this, because we hope that this new vision of Bangladesh can be given birth to, and with human rights at the center of it. On the second, there was a particular case mentioned, Nahid Islam. In fact, we have documented this case. If you read the report, we have this case documented. It was one of the emblematic cases of arbitrary detention, of which, as you know, there were many findings in that regard. And again, we can learn from it. And we have indeed made sure that these cases, the way that they are documented, provide the type of response that everyone expects. Look, on as I mentioned before, on the judicial process, it is important again that the judicial process inside the country is reformed, that it guarantees due process, that it guarantees fair trials, and that process goes ahead, because we cannot allow for perpetrators of serious human rights violations to get away with impunity. They need to be held to account, and that's part indeed of the work that is being undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, we'll take a couple of questions in the room to start with. First, AFP.
Yeah, thank you. Nina Larson, AFP. So I was wondering if I had a couple of small questions. I was wondering if you could say what your report found in terms of Sheikh Hasina's direct responsibility. If you're calling for international justice in this matter, I know you said it's impossible. It's important that there is the possibility, but do you think that it would be good that this does go to universal jurisdiction or to other forms of international justice? And finally, sorry, on the reforms that you're talking about, are you concerned that the abuses that you've found in your report are continuing due to, I guess, embedded problems in the system? There was a report out today about 12 people who have died since the end of the revolution in custody. So I was just wondering if you had some comments on that. Thank you.
We'll take another question in the room. Thanks.
Yeah, Laurent Siro, Swiss News Agency. Thanks, High Commissioner. Follow up on the last question. There's been in the last days a wave of arrests, more than 1,300 arrests. You mentioned that there is a need to set back of the cycle of revenge, so your comments on that. And then on your call for truth-telling, what's the first reaction of the new government? Are they heading towards a format like a truth commission? Thank you.
Thank you. If we have no more questions in the room, I think we'll take one more online from Shahidul Islam. Sorry, I'll come to you next. Shahidul?
Yes, it is Shahidul Islam Chaudhry from Rajkot Patrika in Bangladesh. The Commission has mentioned about the ICT process in Bangladesh. At the same time, the international avenues for ensuring justice through ICC. Should Bangladesh complete first the ICT process at home before going to the ICC process for international trial? Thank you.
দর্শক, জুলাই আগস্ট হত্যাকাণ্ডের প্রতিবেদন প্রকাশ করছে জাতিসংঘের মানবাধিকার কমিশন। এতক্ষণ সরাসরি ছিলাম জেনেভাতে, সেখানেই। আর এরই সাথে শেষ করছি দুপুরের বাংলাদেশ। এতক্ষণ সাথে থাকার জন্য সবাইকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ।